Hi guys, it's Kathy, Mrs. Handy Are You? I hope you're doing well today. I'm doing pretty good. Only this is the third time I've tried to make this video, so I guess I've had better days. Anyway, I have a few notes that I took from Negative 48's documentary called the Jesus Strand, and I thought you might be interested in that. And of course, you should watch the documentary. I'll link it down below. And I have some other things that I've concluded from this. So, yeah, it's on Scott McKay's Street Fighter 24 channel. And for one thing, believe it or not, Jesus was not a Jew. He was a Druze, D-R-U-Z-E. And after the crucifixion of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, she started the Order of the Blue Rose. And then she started the Order of Magdalene and went to France. So there's no Jewish DNA in the Shroud of Turin. The blood was AB negative. And we've all been talking about AB negative blood here on Twitter and, well, not Twitter for me, but, you know, YouTube videos and things like that. And it's the Jesus bloodline is what it is. So, if you do simple gematria on gematrix.org, Druze, D-R-U-Z-E, is 7-4, Jesus 7-4, Messiah 7-4, and Gematria 7-4. Sorry about that noise. And believe it or not, our Abraham Lincoln was of Druze descent. And his name, before his name was changed, was Ibrahim Khalil Kauluni. And that's from the Lincoln DNA Project. So that was interesting. And his mom, Nancy, was one of two illegitimate children of Lucy Sparrow. And I only bring that up because of the name Sparrow. And our junior's Secret Service code name was Lark, which is a sparrow. So I think that's not a coincidence. Then Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd had 4 sons and 3 supposedly died, but they were sent to Benghazi, Libya, you know, to protect the Jesus bloodline. Yeah, and then the people in Morocco, the kings in Morocco and Libya, joined together, those families, the Hassan families, and they put together a law called the Hamidi Law to kill the Jesus bloodline. So, yeah, that's what's been going on forever. So, yeah, they were the ones who organized to kill our POTUS 35, JFK. One of Abraham Lincoln's boys was William Wallace, think of Braveheart, and he became Omar al-Mukhtar, who is known as the Lion of the Desert. And Anthony Quinn played him in the movie of that same name. And he was a freedom fighter trying to free Libya from Italy. And Omar Mukhtar is 131. John F. Kennedy is 131. I wonder why. The Chosen One, 131. Make America Great, 131. The Alpha and the Omega, 131. Alpha and the Omega again, 131. John F. Kennedy again, 163. And Make America Great again, 163. Notice the John F. Kennedy again. So Omar Mukhtar married an Armenian woman and had 4 children, including one named Mary. And then Mary married a prince. And the prince, his name was Prince Said Isa Kauluni. And I don't know how to spell Kauluni because I was just listening to the video. I didn't see it written. And I couldn't find it looking it up, so sorry about that. So in Arabic, Isa, from his name, is Jesus. And in Egyptian, Isa is God saves. And in Islam, Isa is prophet. So it sounds like both sides of the family and that married couple, Mary and the prince, had the Jesus bloodline. So they had two sons, and this is not the important part, but a big important part. The first was born 7/24/15, and his name was Joseph. And the second was born, and a date you might remember, 5/29/17, and his name was John. So after that, Prince Said was executed under the Hamedi law. Also, hundreds of thousands of Libyans were murdered under the Hamedi law. Some were shipped to Italy. Many were killed right there in Libya. It was a slaughter. And it was the continuation of the killing of Abraham Lincoln to kill the line. So John and Joseph were sent to the United States. The Kennedy family adopted them. And let's see, we have a little more Gematria. Welcome, Lord, 125. Holiest Being, 125. Alpha and Omega, 125. Dark to Light, 125. And we'll find another meaning for dark to light in this little episode here. John Kauluni is 132. The Living God, 132. The Most High, 132. JFK Jr. is alive, 132. No coincidence, 132. So I wonder why JFK Jr. is in there. I don't know. So I am wondering, is Joseph JFK Jr.? Like, weirder things have happened, right? Did he time travel? Did he come back as a younger person? You know, we know that happens. So I get decodes with Gemini and twin and brother and two all the time. And I think it's because there's two Jesuses. That's really what I'm thinking. So think about that for a minute. Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy is 211. Ark of the Covenant is 211. Order of the Blue Rose is 211. So Jacqueline goes back to Mary Magdalene. I mean, she could have been exactly Mary Magdalene, you know. So JFK and Jackie's marriage was arranged. This is from Negative's documentary. I mean, we wouldn't have known that. There's no way we can even check that. So, you know, he's got inside info. And there's a reason why. So their children, 1956, Arabella was stillborn. 1957 was Caroline. 1960 was JFK Jr., and he would have been born right before they went into the White House. 1963, Patrick was born in August of 63, and he died not long after that. And that was right before the 11/22 date. Then there was another one that I'd never heard of, and I don't think anybody else has, Fatima, and she was 1962, and she was born by a surrogate in Libya. So Libya is seems like the seat of everything right now. It's unreal, isn't it? So the surrogate was Aziza al-Musli, sorry. And they helped raise Patrick as well. Yeah, the kids that supposedly died or all that, stillborn and all that, they didn't. They were in Libya. So Abraham Lincoln's grandson, I think I got that right. I might be off by a generation, so I'm sorry if I've got that wrong. But it was a close relative of Abraham Lincoln anyway. Yeah, helped mostly raised Arabella, Patrick, and Fatima. So it's unreal. All this stuff, talk about having to relearn our history. JFK Jr. and Carolyn were married earlier than we thought. So that's another surprise. We thought they were married on 9/21/96. And it's a coded date on top of everything. So you take the 9 and the 2 from 9/21, it equals uranium on the periodic table. And then the 1 from 21, just use 1, and it's uranium-1, the scandal with Hillary Clinton when she was in the State Department. And she sold our uranium to Russia, and that was to be sold on to North Korea and Iraq. No, I'm sorry. I get Iraq and Iran confused. Iran. Sorry about that. So, anyway, 92 plus 1 is 93. So that's another code. And that equals red shoes. And the Pope told, the POTUS told the Pope to wear his red shoes when he went to meet him at the Vatican. And that's when he went to take all his assets, I'm sure. And the Pope looked so dour and awful, and the POTUS was smiling like really big. So also the wedding date is a mirror. If you mirror it, it's 921. And I'm sorry. Mirror 921 to 129, and it's 129 is the time in Dallas time, that the incident happened on 11/22/63. So John and Carolyn were married much, much earlier, and they had 3 children. I'm thinking they might have had 4, and we haven't heard about the 4th yet. That's just me. Our Kaylee McEnany, who was press secretary for POTUS, Ezra Cohen-Watnick, and Josh, he's a rugby player, and make sure you remember rugby, for Australia. And I think Jesse Waters might be one of their kids too. I'm sorry about the notes, but I have to read notes. I just have to. Yeah, and another thing Negative said was there were 3 younger children at the Youngstown, Ohio rally. I did notice them. Yeah, they're adorable. Youngstown, Ohio is 220. Military operation is 220. And this rally happened on 7/25/18. And that was the 103rd birthday of Joseph. So Joseph is coming up a lot. And we don't know much about him, but we're learning right now. Also, the kids were at, the younger Junior and Carolyn's kids, were at the Moon Township rally in Pennsylvania. And that's where we first saw Vincent Fusca. He's holding up the sign, Woman for Trump sign, and it said Ruby Cute on it, which was coded as well. So, and that was the real Junior. You probably know that. Let's see. -48 said one smiled. I think he was the older boy in the crowd behind POTUS, and he smiled in dubious delight. And I remember when I was watching that rally, I thought, oh, this is so funny the way he's looking at everything. It's like being in amazement. So he smiled in dubious delight. So that was an odd phrase. So I decided I would see what that meant. And that equals 156 Patrick Kennedy, like Joseph Patrick Kennedy. 156 December 18, which just happens to be a date that POTUS is going to be in, in Houston. So I thought that was interesting there, December 18th. 156 is World Savior. 156, the Lord Jesus. And 156, I care about you. So, of course he cares about us. So tying it all together, sorry, this is really messy. Like I said, it's the 3rd time I've done this, so it's just a mess. Negative says, I should say, quite often lately, he says, -48, dropping bombs, and he's talking about, he's giving inside information and telling you what's going on and what we all want to know. But Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr., the one who was born in 1915 over in Libya, he was a bomber pilot in World War II. He died 8/12/44 on a mission to drop 22,000 pounds of this new type of explosive on a German V rocket site in France. So he and his co-pilot, were supposed to eject And then another plane that was flying nearby was to remote control fly it. So it was going to be like an early drone. And then it would crash into the V rocket site. And supposedly the story goes that the explosives, just went off too soon and they didn't get to eject, and that's how they died. So it's supposed to be how Joseph Patrick died. Also, another thing to keep in mind is flying cover above his plane were 4 Mustang planes. And that's the reason I pointed out Mustang, is because Juan of Savin says, I'm a Ford guy. Okay, I'm a Ford guy, and there were 4 Mustang planes. I'm a Ford guy, and it's, the car is one of the cars that Ford makes is a Ford Mustang. So that's not a coincidence, He's saying he's Joseph Patrick, he's Joseph. And I'm thinking he's probably calling himself Patrick. But that's, I don't know. So he also said recently when he was on with Tom Numbers and some others, Judson White and Mickey Klein, he said he was talking to Judson about he didn't want to make a profit on the idea that Judson had of doing an audio version of Kid by the Side of the Road. And he said, I don't want to cut a fat hog. And that was an odd thing, right? And I should have looked up the codes on that, but I didn't. I just remember the phrase. And then when I was working on Joseph Patrick Kennedy, I was doing Joseph at 7-3. It equals dead fat pig. So there you go, dead fat pig. Another thing, Isaac Cappy, who I always thought was Junior, who is now Joseph, would wear a jacket with like the thick weight collar, like a bomber jacket. So there's another tie back to Joseph. Excuse me. I need a drink. Sorry. Okay. It's still a horse. Well, I can't do this another time, so we're just going to have to deal with the hoarseness. I'm probably hoarse from doing it so many times. So Joseph Patrick played football and rugby. And remember rugby. He was also in a theatrical club in prep school, which was, it was called Choate. The school was named Choate. And it was in Wallingford, Connecticut. And even that could be decoded. And that would come up with something that we need to know about Joseph or what's going on. So you could do the gematria on that. So he went to Harvard and was in the Hasty Pudding Club. So he was really an actor because they put on skits and plays. There's only men in it. I think it's still that way, but I'm not sure about that. Especially back then, it would have only been men. And they played the women's parts too. So for all I know, Patrick is around and playing a guy, and then another day he's playing a woman. That'd be funny. So Janine from Tarot by Janine, she was recently on with Tom and Mickey and Negative, and and was asked if Negative was our junior, and she said no, but he seems to be related maternally, and so we're going back to, anyway, like what I'm saying. So honestly, nothing seems too far-fetched anymore, does it? So is Patrick our junior and our negative? And I'm thinking yes. I mean, with all the comms I get with twins and brothers and Gemini and all that, it has to be. So I've got some decodes with his name, like in different forms. Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., 195. 195, nothing is as it seems to be. 195, Mom and Dad, I'm going to be an actor. 195, Jesus is like a secret agent. And I had a match one time, not long ago, that said CIA, double agent, NSA. So I'm thinking that Junior Joseph Negative was a CIA agent. So they thought he was working for them, but he was a double agent for the NSA, the good guys. 195 is before me is grief and wounds. So we're talking about two Jesuses, John and Joseph. So JFK and his brother Joseph Patrick. So 195 is the Hopi Indian prophecy, and negative 48, coincidentally, had 2 shows on his Telegram channel about the Hopi Indians not long ago. 195, you can't kill the source. It sure seems like they keep going, and I'm thinking we do too. 195, negative, New World Order. So negative for negative 48, and New World Order for the government under Christ. You know, one world government under Christ, not the bad guys. 195, starring Jesus Christ. Starring. And I was thinking also the phrase save the children was a big hashtag on Twitter and Facebook and everything. And I think the double meaning from that is saving the children from the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases, but also saving the Jesus bloodline, which is what has been going on. Joseph is 7-3, else equals panic in DC. 7-3 is also a lot of short words. I'm going to say them all together because there's a lot of them. And they all make sense for Joseph Patrick Kennedy. So, yeah, like he was in the Navy, he was a pilot. So 7-3 is dog tags, barracks, begin here, a pilot, solve this problem, blasts, explosions, crashes, sacrifice, ambushed. That's what happened. It wasn't an accident. I'm sure it was an ambush, and it was a sacrifice is what it was. Another one, just like Abraham Lincoln and JFK. Joe, R.I.P., rest in peace, reborn, crown, kingdom, 18 for R, eclipsed. And eclipse was for God blotted out the sun the last 3 hours that Jesus was on the cross. And, so I think that's what eclipsed is for. And when POTUS is going to, President Trump is going to his history tours that I'm having another video in Florida and Texas, it's at 3 o'clock for all of them. And that would be the time that the sun came back out and would be like a dark to light. So that's another dark to light. Okay, another match for Joseph 7-3. DNA is RH. Real ID Act. Mr. New. JC are here. Now that's plural. So JC, Jesus Christ. You'd say Jesus Christ, plural, are here. I am a healer. I'm Batman. And Janine had said with Tom that Junior, who we're thinking is everybody combined, had a walk-on role in one of the Batman movies. I thought that was so cool that Tom figured that out to even ask her. Call me JFK. Now, I know this probably sounds confusing, but that's because I think that he's playing the part of a Pentagon spokesman, and his name is John F. Kirby, Kirby. And I noticed John F. Kirby the other day before I had decoded this, and I thought, wow, his cheeks aren't moving, his upper lip looks funny, and which upper lip comes up pretty soon too, which is hysterical. And I think that's what this is talking about. Call me JFK. John F. Kirby, you got to watch him. So when all these FFs happen, the white hat FFs with the fake things that are going on, and everybody thinks the nuclear WAR is going on, John F. Kirby will be on TV a lot, or he'll be on our phones a lot, and he won't instill confidence. Yeah, it won't instill anything good. Okay, Joseph 73 equals rugby. And remember, I was saying he played rugby. And Josh, negative 48 as a friend called Josh. He talks about Josh. And he talks about Jacob too. And I was thinking, biblical, Joshua and Jacob. But it's double meanings. Also means his own child, Josh, who plays rugby for Australia, that Negative was telling us about. It's so confusing. They're all the same person. And remember, Joseph Gregory Hallett has all these books out, and he, a lot of videos, and he was calling himself the second Jesus. I think either knowingly or not, he was talking about, his part in this whole scenario was to soften people up to the thought that there's two Jesuses. And I think he did a good job doing that. He was supposed to be the new King John of the UK. And he's kind of dropped off, so, I don't know anything about what's going to happen over there. I don't think they'll have another king. And but Joseph Gregory Hallett, and people call him Greg, is a friend of Tom Numbers, and he was with President Trump voting down, President Trump voted, I should say, and Rand Paul was with him and some other people. And they were down there voting, and Gregory Hallett was there. So he's definitely in on this somehow. And he and President Trump are involved in stuff. So anyway, let's see what else. So Joseph Patrick is 151, and that equals drain the swamp. So obviously we're supposed to check into drain the swamp. That's one of the big phrases POTUS uses. And I am among the gods, 151. I am brotherhood, brother, like I've been getting the doubles and twins and things like that. So now it's brother. Then the twin riddle is 151. The second father, two Jesuses, two Christs, I should say. Yeah, because Jesus I always looked at as John, because Jesus is John, another way of saying John. But his name was Joseph, so I don't know whether it's correct to say two Jesus or two Christ. That's a good question. So 151 is never heard of him, and most people haven't. They've not really thought about Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr., but now they will. Let's see, Mayday F to die, and that's the plane crash when he and the co-pilot died. And then tarot readings. Negative 48 was just on with Tarot by Janine, and he said she was getting everything right, and it was really cool. Then we get Ford Fusion SE, and that's the name of a car. And of course, there's Ford in there, so it's matching Joseph Patrick. Mr. Telephone Man matches 151, and that's our guys always calling in on the phone. Negative 48 and 107. Mr. R is Jesus. So there we go. Mr. R is Jesus. The Christ key. Two Messiahs. I am the Son of God. Secret Son. June 18. 18 for R. Follow the pen. Another phrase from our favorite Anon. American Airlines. And that's where POTUS will be. That's when the history tour will be in Dallas at American Airlines Stadium or Center. So that's the last stop on the tour in Dallas. So that makes sense, doesn't it? American Airlines matches Joseph Patrick. I am a killing machine, and he was a bomber pilot. And and I think they, all the people enrolled into one are helping eliminate certain characters after the tribunals. The Circle of Time, and then Joseph Hallett that I was just talking about. Who are the Hopi? The Hopi Indians? Who are the Hopi? And Negative had just had 2 shows on his Telegram channel about the Hopi Indians. great Davidic bloodline, right and left hand, and there were V scars on the back of Juan Savin's hands when he did 2 different Roseanne interviews. Nothing is real. I believe that now. Very talented because they're acting. And then, like I said, my upper lip. So my upper lip comes up, and that makes me think of the, again, about that John F. Kirby with the weird upper lip and the cheeks that don't move. Let's see. And we have, I know it's kind of going on and on, but Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. is 257, and it's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. We're on a mission from God. Guess what? You are alive. Guess what? You are alive. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's true. We haven't seen him, and he's out of sight, out of mind. Well planned and premeditated. He who awakens the walking dead. Starring Jesus Christ. Thought it was a script. God's first and second coming. Jesus has come many times. They act as if they never die. All glory goes to Jesus, and that's true, 100%. Go back to your stage now. Nothing is what it seems. So again, just saying it another way. Warrior Pleiadians of Adonai. The 19th president. Construction of comedy. This is sometimes a comedy, isn't it? Joy of the Almighty. And JFK would say about his son, Jr., that he was his joy. Corrupted bloodline of man. And like I say all the time, is our DNA so messed up that our blood is the wrong blood type? Are we all supposed to be, Rh negative? Because if we're made in the image of God, and we are, then why do we have different blood types? It should be Rh negative, and maybe we'll all go back to Rh negative, and then we'll be better. And again, the Hopi Indians prophecy. Like I said, Negative 48 had the shows on about the Hopi Indians. So it's all tying together. Then we have Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., 195. And it comes up 195, brother and sister. So brother is the important part in there. At least it is right now. The last president, 777. Oh, that's 2 different answers. The last president and then 777. Make America Great Again. Jesus' second coming. So again, with the 2, second coming. Holy Grail bloodline. Return of the gods. You don't know me. And behold, a son is reborn. I think from all this, you can probably see that Negative 48 and 107 are both Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. So that's it. I hope I don't know, just think about it. And I wanted to say thank you for watching, and like the video if you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I was tongue-tied a lot, but I'll get better. And and I want to say to POTUS, well, I should say President Trump and Melania, I love you, and I appreciate you so much, all your sacrifices, literal sacrifices. And I just love all you guys, all the White Hats, the Alliance, Junior, Carolyn, everybody, Joseph, John, everybody, Jackie, gosh, there's so many. And all you kids, I can't wait to find out what your names are. So anyway, love to all of you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.